Pereiaslav-Khmelnytskyi is an ancient city in the Kiev Oblast of central Ukraine, located on the confluence of Alta and Trubizh rivers some 95 kilometers south of the nation's capital Kiev. Until 1943, the city was known as Pereyaslav.Population, 27,945, serving as the administrative center of the Pereiaslav-Khmelnytskyi Raion. Pereiaslav-Khmelnytskyi itself is designated as a city of regional significance and does not belong to the Raion, with its current estimated population around 30,000 and over 20 museums. Pereiaslav-Khmelnytskyi is often described as a living museum and granted status of a history and ethnography reserve. History. Medieval Kiev Rus city Pereiaslav-Khmelnytskyi played a significant role in the history of Ukraine. It was mentioned for the first time in the text of the Rus Treaty with the Byzantine Empire as Pereyaslav-Ruski. To distinguish it from Pereyaslav-It's in Bulgaria, Vladimir I, Prince of Kiev, built here in 992 the large fortress to protect the southern limits of Kievan Rus from raids of nomads from steppes of currently southern Ukraine. The city was the capital of the Principality of Pereyaslav from the middle of the 11th century until its demolition by Tatars in 1239. During the Mongol invasion of Kievan Rus, Lithuania and Poland in the 14th century, Pereyaslav was annexed by the Grand Duchy of Lithuania. Since 1471 it was part of the Kiev Voivodeship, which in 1569 became part of the Crown of the Kingdom of Poland. In 1585, Polish King Stephen Bathory granted Pereyaslav-Magdeburg city rights. It was a royal city of Poland. Cossack Ukraine. In the second half of the 16th century, Pereiaslav-Khmelnytskyi became a regimental city of the Ukrainian Cossacks. Here in 1654, Kiev-Khmelnytskyi held the controversial Pereyaslav convent, where the Ukrainian Cossacks had voted for a military alliance with Muscovy and accepted the Treaty of Pereyaslav. The treaty led to the establishment of the Cossack Hetmanate in left bank Ukraine under the Tsardom of Russia, and to the outbreak of the Russo-Polish War. The town known as Pereyaslav at that time, and later as Pereyaslav-Poltavsky. According to the Truce of Andrusovo in 1667, Pereyaslav became part of Russia. Soviet Museum Center. Upon the end of the World War II, the Soviet government, keen to glorify the Treaty of Pereyaslav as the ground for Ukraine's subordination to Russia, renamed Pereyaslav to Pereiaslav-Khmelnytskyi in 1943 to stress Khmelnytskyi's role of that event. Later, the otherwise obscure town was established as a dedicated museum and tourism center. Notable people from Pereiaslav-Khmelnytskyi: Sholem Aleikum, Jewish Ukrainian Yiddish writer and playwright; Hanna Knyazeva Minenko, Ukrainian and Israeli triple jumper and long jumper; Louise Nevelson, American sculptor; Pavlo Tatiria, Ukrainian hetman. Tourist attractions. The most significant landmarks of Pereiaslav-Khmelnytskyi are Museum of Folk Architecture and Household Traditions in Middle Naddniepryanщina, presenting the architecture and traditions of Ukrainians from ancient times up to the 19th century, which includes sub-museums: Museum of Bread, Museum of Land Transportation, Museum of Rushniks, Museum of Space Exploration, Museum of Postal Services, Museum of Beekeeping, Museum of Applied and Decorative Arts, Museum of Ukrainian Traditional Rituals, Museum of Archaeology, Museum of the Cossack Glory, Museum of Triple U Culture, Museum of Ukrainian Traditional Dress, etc. Excavated ruins of buildings from the 10th–11th centuries: St. Michael's Church, Ascension Monastery, Jewish community. The first mention of the Jewish community of Pereyaslav dates to 1620, when the townspeople complained to King Sigismund of the growing number and influence of Jews in Pereyaslav, denying Jews the right to keep breweries, malt houses and distilleries, having already prohibited them to engage in farming. The king ordered his commissioners to consider the other rights of Jews. 3 years later, an agreement was signed allowing the Jews to enjoy all of the rights and liberties of urban citizens. This agreement was confirmed by King Sigismund. Pereyaslav Jews were among the first to be killed during the First Khmelnytskyi uprising, chronicler Nathan Hanover writes, and a lot of holy communities based not far from the place of battle and unable to flee, like the holy communities of Pereyaslav, Bereshivka, Pyriatan, Borispol, Lubny, Lokvitsa and the surrounding communities, died as martyrs of various cruel and heinous kinds of slaughter. Another chronicler, Rabbi Meir of Shebsheshina, provides a detailed story. The sacred community of Pereyaslav had drunk from the cup of bitterness several times. Perplexed Jews fled to the sacred community of Borisovka, but the rebels also came there and slaughtered many Jews, including infants. The local non-Jews pitied those who survived and brought them back to Pereyaslav, where they remained locked up like prisoners in the homes, because they were afraid to be seen by the rebels. At night they did not know what the morning would bring, and in the morning, what the evening promised. Shalom Aleichem was born in Pereyaslav in 1859. He spent his childhood in the town of Voronezh, but when the family became impoverished he returned to Pereyaslav, where he studied at the Russian gymnasium until 1876. In 1879, after an unsuccessful attempt to court Olga Lova, he again returned to Pereyaslav for several years. The town is described in detail in his autobiographical prose. In the town's ethnographic reserve, there is a museum dedicated to him. Additional comments. After the 1654 Pereyaslav Council, the remnants of the Pereyaslav Jewish community fell under the patronage of Russia. The left-bank Jews were allowed to stay in the homes, but the townspeople of Pereyaslav presented to Tsar Alexei Mikhailovich the law of 1620 limiting the rights of Jews, which was confirmed by the Tsar. Information about Pereyaslav Jews disappears from the same year 1654. The new community emerged in the late 18th century. According to the tax books of 1801, there were 5 Christian merchants, no Jewish merchants, 844 Christian townspeople and 66 Jewish townspeople. According to the audit of 1847, there was only one Pereyaslavsko Jewish community in the district, consisting of 1,519 people. According to the census in 1897, there were 185,000 inhabitants in the district, among them 9,857 Jews, including in Pereyaslav 14,614 residents, of whom 5,754 were Jews. In 1910, 3 Jewish schools operated in Pereyaslav. First-grade primary boys' school, a private boys' school, and a Talmud Torah. At the end of the 19th century, the synagogue was built. It survived the war and has preserved until now. The factory of woven products named after Khmelnytskyi is operating there. On the 30th of June, the 2nd of July 1881, there was a brutal pogrom against the Jews in Pereyaslav. Among the victims were Jews who had fled here after the Kiev pogrom. From Pereyaslav, the unrest spread to the surrounding areas. In June 1919, Ataman Zeleny arranged a pogrom in Pereyaslav and 20 people were killed. By 1921, a Jewish self-defense organization had been founded in Pereyaslav. In autumn 1941, on the outskirts of the city, 800 Jewish residents of Pereyaslav were shot. According to elderly residents, the exact date of the shooting was 4 to 5 November. However, the memorial plate indicates a different date, 6 to 8 October. On the 19th of May 1943, after a raid, 7 more Jewish women and 1 man were shot and buried in the Altitsky cemetery. The current Jewish population of Pereiaslav-Khmelnytskyi numbers fewer than 100. The community office is located in the building of the former synagogue. International relations. Twin towns. Sister cities. Pereiaslav-Khmelnytskyi is twinned with Mozhaysk, Russia; Pereyaslav-Zaleski, Russia; Vilika, Belarus; Mtsk, Georgia; Paid, Estonia; Kokani, Macedonia. Gallery.